I was born on December 24th, 1965. And being a Christmas Eve baby always made me feel extra special because I share my birthday with somebody pretty famous, right? You know who I'm talking about. And it was always kind of funny growing up because the only time I ever heard his name was when my mom spilled hot tea on herself or my dad ran out of whiskey. That never happened. We never ran out of whiskey in our house. You see, my parents, they immigrated from Scotland to Canada in 1961. And they left something rather significant behind. They left behind religion. Let's just say that growing up, they both had some rather unfriendly experiences with it. So they were quite happy to wave goodbye and leave it in Glasgow, which is where it remained. And I grew up in Toronto, which is an incredibly wonderful melting pot, rich in colors and cultures and religions. And I was exposed to all of that through my diverse circle of friends. And on Mondays especially, we would get together at school and we would chat about what we did during the weekend. And I would hear their stories about all the places they were going, off to church and off to synagogue and temple and mosque. And I could tell by the stories they were sharing that they were adding all these layers of depth and meaning to their life with the activities, the rituals, and the connection that they were having with their community. And it was like they were part of this mysteriously magical world, and I was just kind of looking in. And I was envious of them because they all had a place to go with their feelings, and I didn't have a place to go. Now, don't get me wrong, I had a really wonderful, happy childhood, but I always felt like something was missing. And I don't really know that it was God that was missing as much as it was that sense of community, that sense of belonging, that sense of believing in something bigger than my little world. And while I didn't have a formal place to go to experience what my friends were experiencing, I did have the four corners of my bedroom. And I did have a very vivid imagination. So when I wasn't dreaming about Donny Osmond, which was a lot of the time, I admit, I was busy inventing rituals and ceremonies to add meaning and depth to my life. I didn't really know that that's what I was doing, of course. Like I didn't know, for instance, that every night when I wrote in my diary and made a conscious effort to focus on something really good that happened that day, and made a conscious effort to focus on something really good that I was going to make happen the next day. We call that a gratitude journal today, don't we? That was my nightly ritual. I didn't know that's what it was. I was just a little girl trying to fill a void that I think so many of us feel in life, and I've come to learn in death. About 10 years ago, I was chatting with a funeral director. And he told me about this current trend to not have funerals. And I was like, well, wait a minute. What do you mean not have a funeral? Don't we need to have a funeral? When someone we love dies, do we not need a place to go? Do we not need a place to go with all those feelings? Do we not need a place to go to be with people that care about us, that will support us, that will give us real hugs and not the virtual kind all over Facebook? Don't we need that? But he explained to me, he said, Linda, you know, society has evolved and many are becoming more secular, and traditional funerals for many people no longer feel relevant. They want something different. And you know, it kind of makes sense when you think about it because there was a time in society when fitting in was what we all wanted to do. Nobody really wanted to stand out. You just kind of wanted to blend in and be like everybody else. But now, I mean, we're encouraged to embrace all of those wonderful qualities that make us us, to live our authentic, true lives, to celebrate our uniqueness, So why would we want to have the same funeral as everybody else? And I knew at that moment that I could help those people. All of the random, seemingly useless skills that I had acquired throughout my life finally found